So we had some selling pressure for a couple of days. Didn't really lead to much. We came down a couple of times. Yesterday we did make a lower low, but very quickly got back above 121. So today, all you're really going to need to do is use these two lines right here. So this is the 121.50 is kind of where I shorted in this little wick here 2 days ago. Above that, you have this final consolidation when I put in the all-time high. If after the open, it's spending time up in this area here and starts to move higher, then buyer is completely back in control. If it flashes up right on the open and then gets back below 221.50 and starts to hold, we can look for another range trade to move back down to, let's say, 220.80, and then we'll kind of see if it can work its way back into this area from the bottom of the range. So, a very nice uptrend channel here. Now we're starting to move sideways. Can we continue this for a few more days inside this channel? We'll see. The longer we stay in this channel and then get a break from it, the better a trade it is for on the break of the channel. So we got IWM. This one 2 days ago had a very clean setup when it broke the 30-minute uptrend from a couple of weeks. Moved higher, then came back down. We've identified this area here at 132.25. Going back 5 days ago, where it broke out from, and it retested the next day. Tested a couple of days ago, tested on the open, tested the end of the day. So 132.25. If it starts to hold below there, you want to look for another 40 to 60 cent down move from there, and then we would see what happens. USO, people are getting ahead of the OPEC announcement. It seems like if the deal gets done, it should rip above $11.
Yeah, then into third quarter final bill GDP data, no consensus.
This was very tricky buying into this pullback. It worked.
Some overshooting of the
960 area. But if a real deal gets done, with real cuts, you're looking at move back up into this area here.
QE cannot extend indefinitely.
And then we'll see. Which coincides, 51.52 on the futures contract, on the oils contract. Right now it's at 48.85. Oh, and then GLD I want to point out. So GLD, it's hanging on by a thread. Bought this one the first day in the 112.6. The next day when it flushed through in the low, was able to buy and catch a move back up to 113.60. It's flirting with these 112.60s.
Seems to be formal announcement.
Basically hanging on by a thread. So a little bit more concerned it might try to have another leg down from here, just because it can't really break out of this range and move higher. I think it's worth to continue to try to buy it. I mean, even in the pre-market today, it went to 60 cents again, then back up to 13. I think it's worth the 15 cents of risk here. Continue to play this range. Obviously, if we come in one morning and it's gapping above 114, then that should be it. Then we play for a move back up into here. All right, SPLK. So SPLK had good numbers, but I thought the guide up for next quarter was pretty weak. So
my list is I've got.
We had this trade yesterday in TIF. We saw it in CTSH the other day, where some of these things are gapping up a lot, but they're not crushing numbers and raising guidance a lot. And so those are usually seldom used situations. We've seen some really clean downtrends and ones we've identified recently. Now looking at this one, it topped out in the 70s, went all the way down to 30. And then since then, it's got this range here from 65.
Aggressive with it. That's on the list. SCON is on the list. I don't really know what to make of the news. So
Now we've even had this tighter range over the last couple months, from 57.5 to 61.80. You see this wick here, 61.80, 61.80, 61.80, 61.80. Finally closed above it. The next day they gapped it up and crushed it right back inside of the range. So this is a tough area. 61.80, then 62.50. What I put on the sheet. Yeah, so there's definitely a lot of people willing to get out here. If they raise guidance by more, I'd be thinking about it, maybe trying to run up to this area here. But they didn't.
Yeah. XOM is also.
So the pattern really has been, we'll come in, the next morning we'll do some sort of spike like this, and then it'll come down, and then it'll trip again, and it gets people nervous, and then it'll just kind of trend down the rest of the day. In order for us to judge that, let's make sure that it's holding below 62 for that to happen. So the way that we kind of used 82 yesterday, we'll get to Tiffany's, but if it held below 82, then the move to 80, etc. If after 10:15, 10:30, the stock is still above 62 and they're buying it, you can play it on the long side. For whatever reason, people maybe think that it's worth buying up here. But my first inclination is that it should be sold. Okay, so with the gap up in oil, we're seeing a bunch of these low price energy names moving a lot. This is one that just happens to be one of the more heavily shorted names.
The long bond down close to 2 points, the 10-year down more than 3/4 of a point.
So it was accumulated at $10. It ran up recently to 17, which seems kind of insane. It very quickly came right back down to this, where it started, this $13. Yesterday it actually even gapped down below there. This morning it's gapping to 1560.
High in the S&P mini now 22.11 European bourse is also pushing back towards
pretty wild.
Through session highs of 0.6% in Euro stocks with about 25 minutes ago the cash open. US 10-year yield up to 2.38%.
So let's see what happens here in this area here. Basically, after it topped out at 17, was sold here at 16, couldn't get above 16, couldn't get above 16. This is an area to sell against, and we'll see what it does. Use 16 as an inflection. SCON, SCON, got a Department of Energy contract. This is another one that went crazy recently, went from $1 up to $4. See if it makes a lower high. 370 to 350, this would be the area here. Looks like Shark is already short a little bit. He's probably more looking at this area right here. And then my understanding is they filed a shelf registration a while ago, which means they can do a secondary. The idea being, with this good news, if they'll use the strong price action to announce that the same way we made a lot of money, I think it was 2 days ago, when we were short GLBS, they announced the secondary, it gapped down a couple of dollars. So that's the thought process there. Tiffany's, I already had mentioned this. I'm going to probably spend some more time talking about this one and CRM, maybe in a webinar for you guys, private webinar or something like that. But the idea is, if something doesn't really raise guidance by a lot going forward and it gaps up to longer term levels of resistance, there's going to be supply there. It should fail there on the open. And then you can look for a trade right after initial fade on the open. And if it can hold it below a key level like it did below 82, you can look for that second trade. They keep on going. They just continue to trend all the way back down to 78, which is our next support area. And then Facebook I just threw on here because some no-name firm, I don't know if you remember, but maybe in the last 6 months, some firm came out and said their proprietary algorithms were saying advertising growth was weak on Facebook, and it caused it to drop a few dollars, and then turned out to be complete bullshit. But anyway, that chatter is coming out. I don't know if it's the same firm. That's why it's pushing lower this morning, even though the market is strong. If it flushes down right on the open, through 120 here, and you can pick it up pretty much anywhere here in the 119s, you might have a situation where right after the open, it gets bought again and moves right back up into this 121.5, 122 area. I wouldn't be thinking about it on the short side until after 10 o'clock if it hasn't had a quick bounce back to the upside on that information. I've actually got to take off now. As always, be patient and good luck.
Hope you enjoyed that video. You can actually watch that video if you're subscribed to our Trader 90 before the market even opens. What stocks are in play? What levels in those stocks are important? And how we might go about attacking that stock. That's Steve Spencer, 20-year veteran trader, laying it out there every morning before the market even opens. A really, really powerful tool to start your session off on the right foot. So right now we're offering a trial that you can take advantage of to access this meeting and other meetings throughout the day. We have a meeting at 11 a.m. Eastern where you can sit down with Mike Bellafiore and listen to him talk about what's going on during the morning session, what stocks were in play, what the best trade opportunities were, as well as maybe some things that we're looking at heading into the afternoon session. So I really encourage you to take advantage of that trial.